Living Local Carolina with Katie Turner. Local trends, shopping, dining, and more. This is Living Local Carolina.
The following portion of Living Local Carolina is sponsored by Gold Shield Wealth. Well, welcome back to Living Local Carolina. Today I am in the studio with Amy Ross from Gold Shield Wealth. Amy, thank you for joining me today.
So happy to be here.
Okay, Amy, we're talking about retirement, the best time to do it. You are the expert here. Tell me what people need to know.
The best time to retire. Well, the best time to retire is different for everyone. There are some people who want to retire ASAP, some people who want to retire as late as possible. They just don't want to stop working. So that's a really personal decision. I would say the most average retirement age is when people reach what's called your full retirement age with Social Security, which is age 66 and a half to 67. That's the most common answer.
How often do you see people that put off planning for retirement?
I see that all the time. I think people put it off because they sometimes don't want to know the answer of what they've done. So people are like, oh, you know, I maybe want to work another year or two. So they just procrastinate because they feel like if they don't know, then it's not going to hurt them. But eventually retirement's going to come. So ignoring it is not a great idea.
And it might be, you know, a scary process, but it doesn't have to be super painful. But there are some things that people need to know when they're planning for retirement, a checklist, kind of. If you have some tips, let me know right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time, you know, I ask them, like, you know, what is your budget in retirement? And a lot of people look at me clueless. They're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, number one, we have to know how much money you're going to need. So that's definitely on a checklist. How are you going to replace your income? Because you still have to function in society. You're going to need money. Also, rather than just taking care of your needs, you also want a checklist of what do you want to do in retirement as far as traveling, buying a second home, whatever that may be for you. But you want to have a checklist so that you have your goals and you have something to reach for, not just some hope and dream of, well, this may or may not happen.
Definitely. And are there any things on that list that people really tend to overlook?
People tend to overlook the power of what taxes is going to do and inflation is going to do to their retirement savings. People tend to be just a short-sighted, what's going on now type of society. And if you look back in different decades, the taxes and the tax rates are never the same decade to decade to decade. So people forget that part. And if you think about a retirement, it could last 30 years. Well, that's 3 decades. There's going to be a lot of different tax environments and other, other inflationary environments, different things that you're going to have to weather. People forget that part.
Yeah, definitely. I'm already thinking about all the things that I need to be preparing for in the future. Are there any other things that people need to be thinking about right now when you're kind of on the precipice of retiring?
Yeah, just set your date. That's the biggest thing, is figure out when you want to retire, and don't wait too late. Don't have to wait to retire because you didn't plan properly with your finances. That's sad. You see a lot of people in Walmarts and a lot of grocery stores today that are senior citizens, and that is because of the fact that inflation is so high. Everything is so expensive. Their paychecks, their Social Security, or what they have is not enough to live off of. So that can be avoided with the proper planning and saving. So I would love to save everybody from having to do that.
I was going to say,
that's my dream, is to make sure that nobody has to go back to work unless they want to.
Yeah, definitely.
Then go for it. If you're 85 and you feel like working, wear it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
But it's always good to sit down with you and have that retirement roadmap in your back pocket, so you know where you're going.
At least you know.
Yeah, definitely. And for you at home, if you want to stop putting off your retirement or waiting for all the stars to align, Amy has a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or more, she's offering a complimentary roadmap for retirement. This will allow Amy and her team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a plan analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to get ready for retirement. That number to call is 843-585-3511. This portion of Living Local Carolina was sponsored by Gold Shield Wealth.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Well, welcome back to Living Local Carolina, everyone. I have an author in the studio. John, thank you so much for being here with me
Thanks
today.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, let's get right into it. You wrote this book called Visited Mom Today, and it's
did.
about your own personal experience with your mother, amongst other stories. Tell me all about it.
Sure. So my mother was diagnosed about 16 years ago with Alzheimer's, and for 13 of those years, she was in a memory care unit. And so the last 8 years, she also was nonverbal. And so I would take her to different areas in the nursing home, and I would have her sit with other residents, and I would talk to them. And these are a collection of the stories of the sweet, poignant, funny stories that some of the residents and I had.
I feel like that's something you don't see very often when we're talking about this terrible disease. Are good, fun moments too. So do you have anything that sticks out from the book, maybe?
Well, first of all, that is exactly right. I think there's so much out there about the science, and there's so much out there about the symptoms and what to look for, but there's really not a human side to Alzheimer's or dementia, so I think that's sort of where that fits. There was one woman that really sticks out for me. She was a nurse in her real life, and when she became a resident at the nursing home in the memory care unit, she thought she was working as a nurse. So she would greet me every time I came at the elevator and tell me how my mother was doing that day, and then would take me, down the hall to check in, and she was just in her element. And really the key to having these discussions is really you have to step into their world because they can no longer step into ours.
That's such a good point. Well, how long did it take for you to write the book?
It was over a period of the 8 years. And what I did was, these were Facebook posts that I did. And so they really started out as just posts for my friends to read and hear what was happening with my mother and these kind of funny, sweet stories. And over time, people said, you have so many of these, you should be putting them in a book or a collection. And that's really what made me do the book.
I love when there's stories like that where the stories are so good you have to write a book about it, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Well, I know somebody watching right now is going to want to know where they can find this.
Sure.
Where can they find the book?
You can get the book right now on Amazon, and you can just search for Visited Mom Today, and it should come right up.
Welcome to Epic Discounts, the place to find the most on-trend products. I'm brand ambassador Farron Hip. The deals are limited, so scan the QR code on your screen now. We're starting off today with a doorbuster deal that is a winter must-have. This is the ThermaMist 2-in-1 humidifying space heater. It pulls double duty, providing moisture in the dry winter air, but also providing warmth when it's cold. Humidifiers can help promote healthy skin and relieve itchy, dry eyes and scratchy throats. ThermaMist also has a soft nightlight with 7 color selections to offer a warm, cozy glow. We've seen this as high as $70. Today you'll get one for $20. And remember, our doorbuster deals have been wildly popular, so we limit just 3 per customer. Our next item has been a trusted brand for years. This is the Moen Quattro handheld shower head with magnetics docking system. Enjoy a spa-like shower while using 50% less water. It features 4 unique shower experiences, all meticulously engineered for optimal warmth, rinsing, and body coverage. The hand shower includes a flexible, kink-free 60-inch metal hose for greater reach in the tub or shower because it's so annoying to fight with that cord. One of the best parts, the DIY installation is easy, no plumber required. This has been seen as high as $209. Today you can get one for $49.99. And our final brand is my favorite today. This is the Foxy Bay Tray Chic Trio 3-in-1 multi-styler hair tool set. This deal includes 1 base with 1 curling attachment, 1 round brush attachment, and 1 flat iron attachment. Who needs a drawer full of hair tools when you can grab this 1 tool? With 3 interchangeable heads, you can create any style you want, from the silky sleek strands to voluminous curls and everything in between. So whether it's a date night or brunch with the girls, you'll look gorgeous. We've seen this as high as $100. Today you get one for $39.99. So scan the QR code on your screen right now to get this and all the products you've seen here today. That's all for Epic Discounts. We'll see you next time.
Go to WBTW.com Marketplace to find Epic Discounts.
We'll be back right after this break with more Living Local Carolina.
Thanks for joining us today on Living Local Carolina. I am joined by Joshua. You are a self-proclaimed indie manga creator.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right, we got to get down to the bottom of this. Tell everybody what you do and how you got into this in the first place.
So me being an indie manga creator, I've always liked anime, superhero stuff growing up. That was my main inspiration. But then I always had these ideas, like as I was going through things growing up, that I would watch movies and I was like, I could make that better. So in my head, I would like make these movies with my own characters and I'll be sitting in class just daydreaming about these movies that I'm making in my own head. Eventually I started making an idea for some concepts for a manga, and I really didn't act on it until the passing of my mother before college, because my mom passed away then, probably 2 weeks after when my older brothers passed away. That was kind of what, I know that, I know how that's, but sometimes, you know, there's a blessing in the lesson. And in that lesson, it propelled me into acting on the things that my mom believed in me in doing. So I started with the manga. I really didn't get into after the college, where I felt like I could draw, but I wanted to draw everything myself. But I then took a course where someone was like, hey, if you can, get out of the way so somebody else can do it, because I'm looking at another 2 years if I try to learn how to do the manga style. So with that, I started on doing it. Started going to conventions, and I would first kind of pick people's brains. One of my early mentors, he was surprised because I just asked him, hey, can I get your number? Can I, reach out to you if I need anything? And I was asking him 6 months later, I'm messaging him, I'm like, hey, guess who's gonna be at the same convention that you were at? And he was surprised. From there, I was just hitting it boots to the ground. And I've done PowerCon, which is a local one for Florence. I've done, I did the Grand Strand one that's down here, the Grand Strand Comic-Con. And then I recently did LA Comic-Con. So
that's big.
That was a condensing of the timeline of how we got here. But my main project, there was one time I had a dream, and it was about Camgechi. And I then started to connect the dots after I had that dream. I took a Gullah Geechee business course, and they were trying to tie in what I do into the course. They were like, why don't you do a Gullah Geechee story? And I was like, why don't I do a Gullah Geechee story? That's a good point. And I started connecting it, and then that's when all of this came about. And from here, I mean, this is starting to be one of the stories that, despite my main project is doing good, but as people start to hear about Camgechi, they're like, we want this.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here right now.
So you're building this world that is completely tied to your own culture.
Yes.
What has the response been so far when you tell people about this?
There's more of a surprise, actually, because no one's doing it. Yeah. I go to a lot of these conventions and I ask people, about Gullah Geechee culture, and I even talk about how a lot of African Americans don't realize here in America, 80% of us have some type of Gullah Geechee lineage, but yet they don't know that they have this lineage. So when I bring up the concept of Camgechi, I have been quizzed a little bit, but I'm doing my best as I'm learning about my own history, that I'm, putting it into the story. So that's kind of the fun part about it, is taking something that I find out about Gullah Geechee culture and find a way to twist it and put it into the story.
It's very unique.
Very unique.
It's very cool what you do. I'm very excited to see where this goes. How can people stay updated with everything that you're doing so they can get that drop the second that it's ready?
Good question. So I have my Instagram that is @_no retreat, no surrender. That's the name of my main project, is No Retreat, No Surrender. My email is missyoujoshua@gmail.com.
Remind me of the Instagram name again.
@_no retreat, no surrender.
Don't forget to like our page on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. How to use the QR code. Just open the camera app on your smartphone, iPad, or tablet. Point your device at the QR code so the QR code appears on your screen. Your device will recognize the QR code and show you a notification. Click that notification and you'll come to our website. Living Local Carolina, weekday mornings at 9:30 on WBTW News 13.